The world today is full of distractions. From the moment we wake up to when we go to bed, there are so many things trying to get our attention. It's easy to feel like we're missing out on what really matters in life. We scroll through social media, watch other people living their best moments, and feel like something is missing in our own lives. But what if the reason you feel like you're missing out isn't because you aren't doing enough, but because your mind is never truly at peace? These days, we are constantly pushed to do more, achieve more, and be more. We are told that happiness comes from having lots of things: more money, more power, more approval from others. But even when we get these things, inner peace seems impossible to find. Today, I want to share with you some teachings from Lao Tzu, an ancient Chinese philosopher. His wisdom can help transform your life from one full of stress and endless chasing to one of deep peace and contentment. Lao Tzu's formula for inner peace isn't about owning things or getting other people's approval. It's about discovering the peace that already exists within you. But let me make one thing clear. This isn't some quick fix or motivational trick. What we're about to explore is a different way of living. It means changing how you see the world and yourself. It means letting go of habits, beliefs, and ways of thinking that don't help you anymore. If you're ready to make this shift, stick with me. The answers you're looking for might just be found in the wisdom of one of history's greatest thinkers. Before we dive in, could you do me a quick favor? Click that like button. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps me a lot. The trap of chasing validation. In our modern world, we are conditioned to constantly seek validation from others. We're trained to believe that our value comes from how others perceive us. Whether it's through the number of likes on a post or the praise we receive at work, we live in an externalized reality where our worth is defined by someone else. Lao Tzu spoke of this dependency centuries ago, though in a much different context. He spoke of not letting the world define who you are. When you live for others' approval, you surrender your peace of mind, allowing it to be at the mercy of people who have their own motives. And let's be honest, people often have selfish motives. They will push you to meet their expectations, use you to further their own interests, and make you feel like your worth is only as good as your ability to fulfill their desires. They'll take advantage of your kindness. They'll take your willingness to help and stretch it to the point where it drains you completely, all for their own benefit. Have you ever felt like you were giving your all for people who couldn't care less about what you were actually going through? They come to you only when they need something, but vanish when you need a shoulder to lean on. That's the harsh reality we live in. Most people are just looking out for themselves, willing to drain others to feel fulfilled. Lao Tzu's teachings show us that inner peace doesn't come from pleasing others. It comes from a quiet confidence that who you are, right now, is enough. This quest for validation becomes an endless cycle, always chasing, always needing more. The more you seek approval from others, the further you drift away from your true self. It's like trying to fill a bottomless pit. No matter how much praise or attention you receive, it will never be enough if you don't value yourself first. Lao Tzu teaches that the real key to peace lies in recognizing your own worth, independent of others' opinions. Imagine how freeing it would be if you no longer needed others' validation to feel good about yourself. What if you could wake up every day, look in the mirror, and know that you are enough just as you are? That's the kind of peace Lao Tzu is pointing us towards. A peace that comes from within, from knowing that your worth is inherent and unchanging, no matter what anyone else thinks. Validation-seeking behavior is deeply rooted in our culture. From an early age, we are conditioned to perform for praise, to get good grades, to be the best at sports, to gain recognition from our peers. This conditioning extends into adulthood, where we seek promotions, social media likes, and approval from people who may not even have our best interests at heart. Lao Tzu's wisdom challenges us to break free from this conditioning, to stop giving away our power to others, and instead turn inward and realize that our value is not contingent on anything external. To truly understand Lao Tzu's teachings on validation, we need to explore the concept of self-reliance. When you rely on yourself for approval, you create an unshakable foundation for inner peace. This doesn't mean shutting others out or refusing to accept feedback. Instead, it means understanding that your core worth is not something that can be given or taken away by others. It is a state of being, one that is inherently yours. But let's take this a step deeper. Self-reliance is not merely about affirming yourself in the face of doubt. It's about fundamentally understanding that your existence has intrinsic value. The need for validation comes from a deep-seated fear that we are not enough as we are, that we must do or be something more to be worthy of love and acceptance. Lao Tzu teaches that this belief is misguided. When we look inward, beyond the surface level achievements and societal metrics of success, we begin to see that our value has never depended on these things. It is our very essence, our capacity to be, to exist, to love, to connect, that gives us worth. To reach this level of understanding, we need to cultivate a deep sense of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the practice of observing our thoughts and behaviors without judgment. It is through this awareness that we can begin to recognize the patterns that drive our need for validation. Why do we crave others' approval? What fears are we trying to mask or avoid? When we start asking ourselves these questions, we begin to dismantle the illusions that keep us bound to the opinions of others. And in doing so, we start to discover a level of peace that is unshakable, regardless of external circumstances. Letting go of excess. Lao Tzu teaches us that he who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. In the modern world, this teaching feels almost impossible to apply. We're constantly bombarded with advertisements and societal expectations that tell us we need more to be happy. More money, more friends, a bigger house, a faster car. But Lao Tzu argues that the key to inner peace is understanding that you don't need to overcomplicate your life to be fulfilled. Excess isn't just about material possessions. Excess thoughts, worries, and regrets can rob you of your peace. We ruminate about the future, regret the past, and carry burdens that were never ours to hold. But the truth is, if you keep holding on to the unnecessary, the excess baggage, it's going to weigh you down. By letting go of what doesn't serve you, you make room for what genuinely matters. Present moment awareness and inner contentment. Before I proceed, count yourself as an exception for making it this far into the video. Now that you have shown how strong you are, let's make it till the end of the video. Letting go of excess is not about giving up everything you own or detaching from the world entirely. It's about finding balance. It's about recognizing what truly brings you joy and letting go of the rest. So many of us hold on to things, material possessions, past grudges, unrealistic expectations, thinking that they will somehow bring us happiness. But the truth is, these things often do the opposite. They clutter our minds, drain our energy, and keep us from experiencing the beauty of the present moment. Think about the last time you felt truly peaceful. Was it when you were worrying about the future? Or was it when you allowed yourself to simply be, without the weight of excess thoughts and worries? Lao Tzu's wisdom teaches us that true peace is found not in accumulation, but in simplicity. The less you need, the freer you become. The less you cling to, the more space you create for genuine happiness and fulfillment. But letting go is easier said than done. It requires deep introspection and an understanding of what truly matters to you. Many of us hold on to things because we believe they define us. We hold on to career titles, material wealth, and even relationships that no longer serve us because we think they give us value. But Lao Tzu's teachings challenge us to look beyond these external markers of success. True fulfillment comes not from what you have, but from who you are. To let go of excess means to let go of the ego's need for more. The ego always wants more. More recognition, more achievements, more possessions. But the ego's desires are insatiable. The more you feed it, the more it wants. Lao Tzu teaches us that true contentment comes from recognizing that you already have everything you need within you. When you let go of the need for excess, you find a sense of peace that cannot be taken away by the ups and downs of life. We must also delve into the nature of attachment. Attachment is not limited to physical possessions. It extends to our beliefs, our fears, our desires, and even our identities. We become attached to our ideas of who we are supposed to be, how others should treat us, and what our lives should look like. This attachment becomes a source of endless suffering because life, by its very nature, is impermanent. When we cling to something that is destined to change, we create resistance. And that resistance is what prevents us from experiencing true peace. Letting go of attachment requires us to confront our deepest fears. The fear of losing control, the fear of the unknown, and ultimately, the fear of loss itself. Lao Tzu teaches us that true freedom comes from embracing impermanence. When we understand that nothing in life is permanent, not our possessions, not our relationships, not even our thoughts, we can begin to let go of the need to cling. We can begin to experience life as it is, in all its beauty and transience, without the burden of trying to make it something it is not. The illusion of control. One of the biggest reasons why people are unhappy is because they are trying to control things that are beyond their influence. Lao Tzu said, "By letting go, it all gets done." The more we try to force situations or outcomes, the more resistance we create. We think we can control people, circumstances, and even the world around us. But that illusion of control is what creates anxiety, fear, and ultimately, a sense of powerlessness. People in your life may convince you that unless you bend to their wishes, things will fall apart. They manipulate you, suggesting that you need to take control of situations. For their benefit, of course. But the reality is, control is an illusion. The moment you let go of trying to control the actions and feelings of others, you begin to reclaim your own sense of peace. Imagine how liberating it would be to release yourself from the pressure of trying to make everything perfect for everyone else. The truth is, most people will never appreciate your sacrifices as they are too busy chasing their own fulfillment. Control is a concept that many of us struggle with. We want to believe that if we just try hard enough, we can make everything turn out the way we want. But Lao Tzu's teachings show us that true peace comes not from controlling the world around us, but from controlling our inner responses. When you let go of the need to control every aspect of your life, you create space for acceptance and flow. You begin to realize that you don't have to fight against life's currents. Instead, you can move with them. Think about a time when you tried to force something to happen. A relationship, a job opportunity, or even a simple plan with friends. The more you pushed, the more resistance you encountered. And when things didn't go as planned, you were left feeling frustrated and defeated. Lao Tzu teaches us that life is meant to flow naturally, and when we try to force it, we create unnecessary suffering. By letting go of the illusion of control, we allow life to unfold as it's meant to, and we find peace in the process. But letting go of control doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent. It means recognizing the boundaries between what you can influence and what you cannot. It's about focusing on your inner world, your thoughts, emotions, and actions, rather than trying to control external events. When you shift your focus inward, you realize that true power lies in how you choose to respond to life's challenges. You may not be able to control the storm, but you can control how you weather it. To truly understand Lao Tzu's teachings on control, we need to examine the nature of power itself. True power is not about domination or manipulation. It is about mastery over oneself. The need to control external circumstances arises from a lack of inner stability. When we feel insecure or uncertain, we grasp for control as a way to create a sense of safety. But this safety is an illusion. The only real security we have is our ability to remain centered and grounded, regardless of what is happening around us. By letting go of the need to control, we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And in that vulnerability, we find strength. We find the courage to face the unknown without fear. to trust in the natural flow of life, and to surrender to the present moment. This is not a passive surrender. It is an active choice to release resistance and embrace what is. It is a choice to trust that life, in its infinite wisdom, will unfold as it is meant to, and that our role is not to control it, but to flow with it. Flowing like water. Lao Tzu often used the metaphor of water to explain the path to true inner peace. Water flows effortlessly, it doesn't resist. When faced with an obstacle, it finds another way. It's soft yet powerful, gentle yet capable of carving through rock. This is how Lao Tzu teaches us to live, with fluidity and acceptance. Most people will try to be rigid, to show that they're tough, that they're in control. But this rigidity often leads to frustration and inner turmoil. Life doesn't always go as planned, and people will undoubtedly disappoint you. When you expect others to treat you as you treat them, you set yourself up for pain. Lao Tzu encourages us to be like water, to let go of rigid expectations and to flow with life. To move around obstacles rather than fight against them. To be adaptable instead of breaking under pressure. By accepting the natural flow of life, you release yourself from the cycle of disappointment. Letting things be doesn't mean giving up, it means embracing what you cannot change and focusing your energy on what you can. Your inner state of peace. Water is one of the most powerful forces in nature, not because it is forceful, but because it is adaptable. It doesn't resist what is in front of it. It moves around it, over it, or even through it. This is the essence of Lao Tzu's teachings. When we learn to flow like water, we learn to let go of the rigid expectations that cause us pain. We learn to adapt, to move with life rather than against it. And in doing so, we find a profound sense of peace. To live like water means to embrace change. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, and the more we resist them, the more we suffer. Water teaches us the power of adaptability. It shows us that we don't have to break when things don't go our way. Instead, we can bend, we can flow, and we can find new paths. When we stop resisting change and start embracing it, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and experiences that we may have never imagined. But flowing like water also means surrendering to the present moment. Water does not dwell on where it has been or worry about where it is going. It simply flows. This is the essence of mindfulness. To flow like water is to be fully present, to experience each moment as it is, without clinging to the past or fearing the future. It is about trusting that the current will take you where you need to go, even if you cannot see what lies ahead. Embrace WOAY, the art of effortless action. WOAY is the concept of effortless action. It means doing without forcing, allowing things to unfold naturally rather than constantly pushing against the current. In our quest to control and achieve, we often create unnecessary stress for ourselves. We think if we're not hustling, then we're falling behind. But true power comes from knowing when to act and when to let go. Consider how often we're caught in the cycle of overworking just to meet other people's expectations. You give your all, but the appreciation is minimal, and people always seem to want more from you. It's exhausting, isn't it? Lao Tzu reminds us that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to simply do nothing. To let go, trust in the process, and realize that not every battle is ours to fight. By doing so, we allow the universe to align our lives in ways that bring us true peace and fulfillment. WOAY doesn't mean being passive or indifferent. It means acting in harmony with the natural flow of life. It means recognizing when effort is needed, and when it's time to step back and let things unfold on their own. In a world that glorifies constant hustle, WOAY teaches us that there is strength in stillness and wisdom in knowing when to take a step back. When we embrace WOAY, we begin to see that not everything needs to be forced. The right opportunities, the right relationships, the right experiences, they all come to us when we stop trying to control every aspect of our lives. It's about trusting that the universe has a way of aligning things in our favor when we are patient and open. By letting go of the need to force outcomes, we find that life becomes more effortless, more joyful, and infinitely more peaceful. To truly understand WOAY, we need to understand the concept of effort versus struggle. Effort is natural. It is the energy we put into our actions, the intention behind what we do. Struggle, on the other hand, is resistance. It is the forceful attempt to make things happen, even when they are not meant to. WOAY teaches us to recognize the difference. It teaches us to act with intention, but without attachment to the outcome. It teaches us to trust in the flow of life, to do our part, and then let go of the rest. Detaching from others' opinions. How much of your day is dictated by what others might think of you? If you're like most people, the answer is probably far too much. Lao Tzu taught that one of the greatest barriers to inner peace is our attachment to others' opinions. In this world, people will judge you no matter what you do. And let me tell you, most of these judgments have nothing to do with you. They stem from people's insecurities, their desire to feel superior, and their need to project their shortcomings onto someone else. Think about the times you didn't take action or chose to stay silent because you feared what others might think. In those moments, you gave away your power. Lao Tzu teaches us that true peace comes from within, from understanding that the opinions of others are fleeting, insignificant in the grand scheme of your life. People will talk, but their words are a reflection of their state, not yours. By detaching from their opinions, you reclaim your freedom. You live authentically, guided not by the noise of the world, but by the quiet, profound voice within you. The fear of judgment keeps so many of us from living our true potential. We shrink ourselves to fit into the molds that others create for us. We hide our true selves because we fear being misunderstood or criticized. But Lao Tzu teaches us that the only opinion that truly matters is our own. When you live authentically, true to who you are, you create a life that is aligned with your deepest values and desires. And in doing so, you find a peace that cannot be shaken by the fleeting judgments of others. Detaching from others' opinions is not about ignoring feedback or being dismissive of others. It's about discerning what truly resonates with you and letting go of the rest. There will always be people who disagree with you, who misunderstand you, or who criticize you without knowing the full story. But their opinions do not define you. Your worth is not determined by how well you fit into someone else's expectations. It is determined by how true you are to yourself. To detach from others' opinions, we must cultivate a deep sense of inner security. This inner security comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. It comes from having a clear understanding of your values, your purpose, and your boundaries. When you have this level of clarity, the opinions of others lose their power over you. You no longer need external validation to feel worthy or accepted. Instead, you find that validation within yourself. The power of stillness. In a world that glorifies business, stillness is often seen as laziness. But Lao Tzu speaks of the incredible power found in stillness. He says, "In stillness, the mud settles and clarity is revealed." When you stop chasing after every fleeting desire or worry, when you allow yourself moments of true stillness, you create space for clarity and inner peace. Stillness doesn't just mean physical rest. It's about quieting the constant chatter of the mind, stepping away from the noise, and reconnecting with your inner being. In those moments of stillness, you realize that life isn't about running a race set by others. It's about experiencing each moment fully, without the need to be anything other than who you are right now. We live in a culture that equates productivity with worth. The more you do, the more valuable you are perceived to be. But Lao Tzu teaches us that true value comes not from how much you do, but from how deeply you live. Stillness allows us to connect with the present moment, to experience life as it is, without the constant pressure to be somewhere else or someone else. When you embrace stillness, you begin to see life with greater clarity. You see what truly matters, and you let go of the rest. You realize that the constant business that so many people pride themselves on is often just a way to avoid facing their own thoughts and emotions. But in stillness, there is nowhere to hide. There is only you, your true self, free from the noise and distractions of the world. Stillness also allows us to reconnect with our intuition. In the midst of our busy lives, it's easy to lose touch with that inner voice that guides us. We become so consumed with the demands of the outside world that we forget to listen to what our own heart is telling us. But in stillness, we can hear that voice again. We can reconnect with our true desires, our true purpose, and our true self. And when we do, we find a sense of peace that cannot be found in the chaos of constant activity. But stillness is not just about finding peace. It is also about cultivating wisdom. In the quiet moments, when we are free from the distractions of the world, we can reflect on our experiences, learn from our mistakes, and gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Stillness is the fertile ground in which wisdom grows. It is in the moments of stillness that we gain insight, that we see things as they truly are, without the distortions of fear, desire, or ego. Remember, Lao Tzu's formula for true inner peace isn't complicated, but it does require courage. The courage to let go of the need for control, the courage to detach from the opinions of others, and the courage to flow with life rather than against it. Most importantly, it requires the courage to be still in a world that tells you to always be on the move. If you've made it to this point, you're already on the path to discovering a deeper level of peace within yourself. To know that you've watched the entire video, leave a comment below with the word tranquility. Thanks for watching. See you in next video.